What's up, guys? Our Wrestling Podcast back at you with another episode. This is Dave Vicious, along with Just the Total Package, Craig the British Bulldog, bringing you our perspective on the world of professional wrestling. No inside sources, no ties to the industry, just stories from the diehards, sharing opinions with you. Today's topic, who is Bray Wyatt? For audio fans, give us a listen on Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, and Google Podcast, or watch our videos on YouTube at Our Wrestling Channel. On social media, can you do us a solid and give us a follow on Instagram or Twitter at O.W.P 2019 if Twitter is still standing.
It's so hard for me.
Or
it's so
on
hard.
Facebook.
Don't.
At Our
So
Wrestling
fucking hard.
Podcast or not, we'll go to the Mastodon site if we have to for blog talks if you need to. If Twitter's gone, it'll be fine. But there you go, Jess. I'm kind of excited about this because this is one of the most controversial wrestling entities out there for so many reasons. What he's done, what he hasn't done, how he's been managed, how he's been mismanaged. His personal issues that he's had to endure when he's taking time off. Bray Wyatt is such a lightning rod in the wrestling industry. So I understand why you want to do it because of those reasons, but what else? What was that really why, or because it's recent? What was your plot behind this little narrative?
Yeah, that's all.
He's
trying to get the trying to get the dipshits that don't fucking know good wrestling product to fucking subscribe to us. So I want to do something current, but the Who Is series is rapidly becoming one of my favorites because it's almost like a legacy of somebody who's not done yet. So we do legacies of Macho Man. I know we did one of Randy Orton, but Randy Orton, let's face it, he's on the back nine of his career easily. So I think it was appropriate to do a legacy for him. And we'll do someone who passes away. If we haven't done a legacy yet, we'll do a legacy on them. But I think the Who Is series I like to focus on it because it's more of a current star. The only other one we've done is Wardlow. And I like that, is nice. Bray Wyatt deserves a Who Is. Craig was talking before we hit record about he's shocked about how long he's actually been on WWE television, which is going on 12 years. There's been a lot of ups and downs with this character, and Bray is a super creative person, and I feel that he's in good hands right now. I think Vince was a little out of touch and only focused on the spectacle that was either the Bray Wyatt family and or the Fiend. And I think Vince abused it and he overproduced it. And I think that Bray Wyatt kind of seems like a sensitive guy behind the scenes. I don't mean that in a bad way either. He's very sensitive and he's very creative. And I think he's very offended if you don't listen to his creative voice. And, we're in an industry that will chew you up and spit you out really quick. But I think Bray has a lot of stuff. He's a good wrestler. We've seen him had some great matches with Daniel Bryan and other people. I think that he's been weighed down with this gimmick. And I think now Triple H kind of knows how to breathe this gimmick out. And I think that we're seeing more of I love the backwoods Wyatt family, because I believe those are people that you would run into. If you were in the backwoods, you would run into that family.
Yeah.
And that's when wrestling characters are the best. The Fiend was awesome as far as his look and his entrance, I thought was great. But the presentation that Vince decided to saddle on him killed that gimmick, and that sucks. So I think now that Bray's back, I think that Triple H is more of a reality-based kind of guy. I think that on the main roster, he's got to be a little bit more entertaining because it's World Wrestling Entertainment and it's a publicly traded company. However, I think that Shawn and Triple H are going to be very careful with this character and kind of make whatever character that Bray is going to become. And we don't know yet because we don't know who the uncle is or anything like that. We're all kind of, is it going to be another alter ego of his? We don't know. And I'm cool with it. A lot of people are getting impatient, but I am not. I think that let's just let them tell a fucking story. How about that?
Let it play out, man.
Yeah, let it. And so I think that the Bray Wyatt character at core will be someone that you run into in real life and you believe that you would run into in real life. And I think that's going to translate to I think this will be Bray's best run. I hope so.
Craig, what say you, man?
Yeah, I mean, the pop when he returned and the lead up and the QR codes and the stuff in the background. And then I don't care if it was sweetened or not, that last shot when he appeared through the door and he was back, we were just excited to see him. And we're rooting for him, which is cool. We have wrestling fans have very little patience, but for right now, we were rooting for him. We understand that the fact that he's so vulnerable about his issues and he was gone for so long and now he's back. We just want to see him do well and we want to see him happy and we want to see him perform and put on just straight bangers. So he hasn't wrestled yet. He's got a program going with LA Knight, which as of 11/18 with taping, they furthered that storyline today on SmackDown. But I can't wait to see him in the ring and see what he can do in this version of him.
I don't know if y'all can read this on me, but I'm incredibly grateful, and I'm really, really nervous to be here. But I never thought of this would happen. And this right here, this is just me, okay? Yeah, this is a version of me that I've never got to introduce to you guys before. This is just me being me, genuine me for the first time.
Fantastic. Wyndham Lawrence Rotunda, born May 23rd,
what a
1987.
Stupid game! I changed my mind. What a dumbass. No.
Is an American professional wrestler. He currently signed to WWE, where he performs on the SmackDown brand under the name Bray Wyatt. He attended Hernando High School, where he won a state wrestling championship at 275 pounds.
That's heavyweight.
2005.
That's heavyweight.
He graduated.
Right? Well, when we learn who his daddy is, it's no surprise that he was athletic.
No surprise, right? He also played football as a defensive tackle and guard. Rotunda played at the College of the Sequoias for 2 seasons, earning second-team All-American honors as a sophomore offensive guard. He earned a football scholarship to Troy University, where he played collegiate football for 2 years. He left Troy 27 credit hours short of earning a bachelor's degree after deciding to become a professional wrestler. Rotunda is a third-generation professional wrestler, following the footsteps of his grandfather, Blackjack Mulligan, his father, Mike Rotunda, and 2 of his uncles, Barry and Kendall Wyndham.
I mean, come on, right? Like that bloodline. You want to talk about bloodline? Jeez.
And his younger brother, Taylor Rotunda, is also a professional wrestler, best known as Bo Dallas. I think most people know that.
I love Bo Dallas.
Yeah. I mean, listen, Mike Rotunda, Rotunda, they changed all the time. Former NWA television champion, former NWA tag team champion, former WWF tag team champion, more famously known as half of Money Incorporated with Ted DiBiase, is a really well-respected wrestler. Barry Windham, is one of my personal favorites, and we've done a What Happened to Barry Windham, and it was one of my favorite episodes because Barry Windham was just one of those guys that understood wrestling. And that's it. And that's the end of my sentence. And he never was a gym rat or anything like that. And I don't mean that as a shitty. He was naturally like 6'6", 6'7". He was a big motherfucker. He was like, what do they call him? Corn-fed, boys, he was like a legit walking around like 270, when he got in his prime, 270, 280. He, according to Mick Foley in his book, he loved Jack and Coke. He was a good old boy, man. He's a good old backwoods boy. And Barry Windham was probably one of the most rawly talented wrestlers I've ever seen. And there's so many great Barry Windham matches I think about often, or I'll just put on when I'm bored. I'm like, I'm gonna fucking watch Barry Windham. Barry Windham is fantastic, and so was Mike Rotunda. I'm not suggesting that he wasn't. And then Blackjack Mulligan, who was the father of Barry Windham as well, really big in his time as well. So he comes from this, you talk about bloodline on the Roman Reigns side of it. This is the fucking bloodline right here. So, and I know it's, I think his Twitter handle now is called @Wyndham6. So, they're trying to tie something, and we'll see. Bo Dallas has been re-signed to WWE. So I think that we're in for something cool. I hope they really do like a family thing or whatever. That would be awesome.
There you go. Alongside his brother, he held the FCW Florida Tag Team Championships twice while in that WWE developmental territory at that time.
FCW,
where he wrestled under various ring names between 2008 and 2012. He briefly wrestled on WWE's main roster from 2010 to 2011 under the ring name Husky Harris, most notably as a member of the Nexus.
The Nexus, goddamn. That, they should probably be on my Forgotten Factions. I think they're going to be another one too.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
That was a pretty cool night. The Nexus invasion.
Nexus's debut was awesome, and then unfortunately it just went downhill from there.
Yeah.
But man, what a great idea! And if an out of touch old man even back then wasn't ruining things, or beginning to ruin things, I think that the Nexus could have been something really special. But Husky Harris, Bray Wyatt was a part of that. Everyone forgets that, and it's totally acceptable to forget that.
A lot of heart too. So Husky, you're next. Your initiation, if you choose to accept it, of course, is in my left hand. You will willingly, without reprisal, take 3 lashes from everybody here.
I accept.
This next one I want to read, I really want you guys to come in on because this is really interesting. Because before this wouldn't have happened. After returning to WWE's developmental territories, Rotunda was rebranded as Bray Wyatt, the villainous cult leader of the Wyatt family, with the group eventually making its main roster debut in 2013. The reason why that's important, I think, Jess realizes too, is, and Craig, I think you'll see where I'm going as well. If you didn't make it on those levels back in, say, the 80s and 90s, you were just gone. There was nowhere to go. Go back to independence. Maybe WCW will pick you up, right? But here you had the ability to go back and retool now that NXT is there for you to do that. And I don't know what would have happened to Bray Wyatt if he would have been a Bray Wyatt if that wasn't available. What do you guys think?
I'm going to go out on a limb and say he's one of the classes too that was one of the final FCW. FCW used to be the developmental territory before NXT.
The Florida territory.
Before everything became a thing. He's one of the last classes. You know, you had, I think Charlotte was there, Seth.
Seth Rollins was there.
Yeah, so there was a lot of people. I think Becky too. I don't remember. There's a thing on the network actually.
Brock spent a stint in there, but that was years before.
Yeah, there's a thing on the network about how like they kind of ushered in the stars that we see now, Charlotte, Seth, and all those guys, and girls. So he was one of the final classes of that before it transformed into NXT, and then he went there. So he kind of has that lineage. There's a lot of people that can't say that anymore, that they were part of SCW. So that's a really big deal there too. And then a lot of people forget that they started the cult, the Wyatt family cult, in NXT. And he, again, this is one of my favorite versions of it because you believed you would run into these people. And it was just so simple. And he would go in the ring and he would cut promos and he would be like, basically, join me and talk like a cult leader. He acted like a cult leader. And it was awesome. And I really, really loved that version and still do. And I hope they revisit that type of Bray Wyatt.
And it was kind of inspired a bit by Waylon Mercy too, which was inspired by like the Cape Fear with the hat and the shirt. But he had that kind of look and drawl and
I was thinking
his draw was the best. Like his accent and affect that he would put on his speaking voice was just great. Like it's just really, really great.
Just from the swamps.
What would have happened if that was, say, 20 years before? Would we have even had the opportunity to see that? I don't know. I mean, he wouldn't have had the opportunity to retool. So I'm so glad that we did. I mean, NXT has done so much. I mean, I don't want to get on too much of a tangent, but the immediate thing right now is Mandy Rose. Mandy Rose, they did bring up, and probably too soon, was able to bring her back down, and she is
so stellar now. It's so out of control. How good she's Trish. It's what Trish did.
Being able to go back down and do that and relearn a different character. And
I believe that if she's treated well on the main roster, she will be one of the greatest women's wrestlers of all time. Like when she gets back up there,
because
she's got the discipline and my God, the work ethic and the image and the brand. She's
a Trish 2.0 for sure.
You wouldn't have had that opportunity without NXT in the fold to make that happen. That's the whole thing. That's where I'm going with it. So it's amazing that Bray Wyatt might not have existed without NXT and FCW territory to have basically a minor league territory for those guys and gals to experiment in. So it's pretty cool. Just saying it's a good thing. NXT is a good.
Husky Harris could have came to the main stage and died a quick death and then never.
And then you never would have seen him again.
Yeah.
Today, we say goodbye to NXT. For now. But if you need me, I ain't hard to find. All you gotta do is go look up in the sky and follow the buzzer. Oh, wait, one more thing. Time is on my side.
You know, so I'm so glad that it didn't work out that way.
And then went to WCW as the gambler and then died there too. Like, yes, easily.
Right, exactly.
The backwoods brawler.
Yeah, Rotunda became a 3-time world champion in
Skinner's
WWE.
Skinner's son.
Skinner
Jr.
Skinner Jr. He, being Rotunda, became a 3-time world champion in WWE, having held the WWE Championship once and the Universal Championship twice. He defeated AJ Styles, Baron Corbin, Dean Ambrose, and The Miz in an Elimination Chamber match for that title on February 12th of 2017.
Wow.
He also defeated Seth
That's
Rollins.
the backwoods guy.
Don't remember.
So I say unto you, open your ears and I will sing you a beautiful melody. Open your eyes and I will show you the wonders of this world. Walk by my side and I will lead you to paradise. Stand in my way and you will burn in the fire. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome you all to the era of Wyatt.
He was the backwoods character when he won that title.
Yeah. He defeated Seth Rollins on October 31st, 2019 as The Fiend at WWE Crown Jewel for the Universal title. That was a big surprise there when that happened, that they allowed a title change at Crown Jewel. Now who knows what's going to happen when they hold the Crown Jewel now. Then he defeated Braun Strowman on August 23rd, 2020 at SummerSlam for the Universal title.
And there should be an asterisk there too, because that last title win, we were in the pandemic. And so it wasn't in front of the crowd. And I think, I'm going to defend this old man, but like, I think unfortunately the pandemic fed him, Vince, because Vince was like, well, if we're in a pandemic, let's just do over the top production with this character. He's perfect for it. Now we can start doing a lot of different things. And I think that's where they started taking liberties on the character of the Fiend and just pushing it over the top to where we were like, no, we don't want that at all. Like, that's not what we want.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that. I think the pandemic allowed for some freedoms. I think that Vince would not allot himself. And that became an issue for the Fiend down the road.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't work. Once the bell rings, you got to take all that shit off and just let them do the work in the ring.
Yeah.
You can't wrestle under a fucking red light. You can't have a big fucking Jack in the Box hanging around the ring.
You can't project worms on the canvas.
Right.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you guys already, you're burying the lead, as Dave says, because like, really I want to talk about it later, because part of this Who Is series is like, I feel, and people, I think at first, if you hear this, you might be offended, but then you might be like, you're right. He's been underutilized. He's underachieved. Can you, I mean, but we remember everything he's done because his characters have left such a lasting impression on us, but he is underachieved. I can't wait for him to finally fucking erupt.
The Bray Wyatt character and definitely Rotunda didn't need all that. You don't need all that dressing on him. He can go out there and perform. He's good enough without the weird red lights.
He's 3-time world champion, underachieving. And that's why I'm like, it's time now to fucking let this guy go.
You have not
let him do it.
Allowed him because you put too much shit around him.
Yes.
I will defend the Cena and Wyatt cinematic
that was
match,
right when the pandemic happened, so I will defend that too. I don't disagree with you on that.
But the other two, the Jack in the Box, the red light, the worms, the Orton, the rest of the stuff that really just mixed, where it distracted from the in-ring, that's when it was just a problem. It was just bastardized kind of what he was trying to do. They just didn't know. I don't know. Maybe it was, I don't know. I'd love to see a sit down with Bray. Like, how much of that was his idea? Did he kind of feed to where he thought it was good at the time, or
was he stifled, or was he just trying? Was he agreeing with them? Yeah. Like, let's do it. Who knows?
He, being Rotunda, also held the SmackDown Tag Team Championships with Luke Harper and Randy Orton under the Freebird role, and the Raw Tag Team Championship with Matt Hardy once apiece.
Wow.
Team angle. The Bar has held the championship more than any of them. And here is Wyatt and Hardy again with a double team to Sheamus. And Cesaro runs into a right hand. And Wyatt and Hardy have the Bar all out of whack here tonight.
After taking a hiatus in August of 2018, Wyatt returned to WWE programming on April 2019 with a different gimmick, debuting the horror-themed character The Fiend. I have said this several times. Please jump in. We know that the Wyatt family characterization was not done. It didn't need to be done. It would have been just fine. I don't think we ever saw the peak or pinnacle of that characterization of what is Bray Wyatt. And it's unfortunate. We may not. I know Jess wants to get back to some reality-based form with it, and I think that we will, but it will never be that. And I think that's a disappointment.
Right.
Craig, do you having to...
No, Wyatt family was great. I think with Luke's passing, I don't know if you do that again, but it was great at the time.
Yeah, portrayed as suffering from a transformative multiple personality disorder, The Fiend randomly switched back and forth between the good side of Mr. Rogers-esque children's television host Bray Wyatt and his bad side of the grotesque monster clown.
The table was set, though. Like, when you're saying that out loud, I remember when The Fiend, I was like, dude, this is the Three Faces of Foley, kind of a little bit more edgy and horrified, like kind of thing. He could have easily done, and they tried to do that because he would defend the title sometimes as Bray Wyatt, and then he would also defend it sometimes as The Fiend. They never connected the characters. It's like Vince always wanted to just tell the story when we did the Funhouse skits. But I was like, why wouldn't you? Like, you could easily, can you imagine? He could have been a heel and a face at the same time. He could have been a face as Bray Wyatt, as the talk show guy, but then when you made him mad, like Incredible Hulk, you won't like me when I'm angry. And then like The Fiend is this monster. Sure. So he could have had feuds. You could have put him on Raw as a face, then on SmackDown as a heel as The Fiend, and they could have done some revolutionary shit.
I know he does it sparingly, but doesn't Jushin Liger do the same thing sparingly? The mask would come off and he would be the whole different character. And
yeah, he'd be a different, like a villain.
No, this is real. I'm going to kill you now. And he put like a huge stake through a table once, and like it was legitimately frightening. He only does it like once every 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, it's like it's kind of like the demon character with Finn.
To that is what you're saying.
It's like the demon with Finn. Like they have Vince. It's so funny.
I was thinking Finn Balor was very.
Vince
similar.
loves over the top stuff, and he had it, and like, but he's just like, no, we're just gonna. I want to skit it to death. Let's do skits. Let's do shitty skits. And it's like, no,
he dumps what's not working and just stays 100% and just pushes whatever is popular that second.
When you say he, you're not talking about Bray. You're not talking about. You're talking about Vince.
Yeah,
Vince.
Yes. Yeah.
So we have to make that clear. That's not a Bray thing as far as the person. That's Bray thing as the character who's being controlled by VKM at the time. So The Fiend was released from WWE on July 2021, but returned to the company in October 2022 with a split personality gimmick and the new character called Uncle Howdy. So the big question is, who is Bray Wyatt there? What has happened? Jess, Craig, jump in. I know. Let's talk about the real behind the release, because I don't think it's a release. It's like, hey, I gotta go, and they're like, we understand.
Yeah. Well, this last time, the first time when they brought him back as the Fiend, it was from an injury, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. But the last time when he left for a while, and he never returned, and they released him, it was because Luke Harper or Brody Lee died, and they were really good friends, and it really fucked him up. So he was. Oh God, excuse me. I believe, and this is just me speculating, because I think it was just written about a lot. Nobody really knows until, like Dave said earlier, until he does a sit-down interview and actually wants to talk about it. I'm assuming that he was also frustrated with his direction and his character, and he was pissed. And he was like, it's just not what I wanted, and you're making me something that I'm not. And then his friend dies, one of his best friends, and he's like, I gotta go. And I think that happened, and I think that a lot of people don't understand that, and now they're learning about him, and I really hope that they kind of bring it out. I hope we do have a DVDs aren't a thing anymore, but we have like a digital documentary on him and talking about, because I think he does have anxiety issues in real life, I'm pretty sure. And so I would like for him to talk about it and talk about his journey. And he's also, again, if this character takes off, he was one of the few people that could say that I was sort of like coached by Vince towards the end, and then I was taken over by Triple H, and my character became something different. So he's on the cusp right now of doing something great. I don't know. I really hope that I'm right and that Vince was out of touch, and that he was just wrong in the direction that he pushed Bray in. Not saying that I don't understand why Vince did it. We're an entertainment company, pal. But I just feel like Triple H is a little bit more in tune with and Shawn too, for that matter. Like they're very in tune with the more emotional wrestler of today,
right?
And what
the reality
they want
of it, like
and
the vulnerability,
so I
how
think
he is on Twitter.
Yeah, I truly believe
Those
that
guys
we're going to
lived
see
it,
the
man.
best of him, and I hope we see the best of him, because I think that his talent is there. That all the characters, all the different forms of him, the Bray Wyatt backwoods, the Fiend, the good guy Bray Wyatt, and the talk show host guy, and then the Fiend and everything. I think he could do all of it. He could do anything you ask him to do. So I can't see it being him. I really just see it being a creative figuring out a way. How can we funnel this guy's vision? How can we really talk to people and make this character go over? I want to know, like the topic says, who is Bray Wyatt? And I want to know, the character's not been fully written yet. We don't know who the backwoods guy is because he got pulled from us. And then the Fiend comes in. So we're like, okay, he's a schizo. He's a character that he's everybody, So what do we do? Like, they're all connecting somehow. Are they going to finish the connection here and kind of tell us the whole story? Or is this Uncle Howdy thing just going to be more realistic for who Bray is? I don't know.
I just want one promise, Jess, if we do it soon, because I was just thinking about this and reading your notes. You always put a nice picture at the bottom.
I know,
and I see Brody at the bottom there with with the Wyatt family. We need you to do who is Brody. I feel like I know we talked about it in some recent episodes, but probably need to revisit that and revisit his history. I think it's worth noting. He's too talented. He had too much impact on so many people in the wrestling industry that nobody talked about.
You also got to think of who they were. Like when they were in developmental territory together and they were doing this backwoods thing, like they bonded. And it's like when you go from the developmental territory to the main roster, that's also a bond. And they bonded again. And the initial gimmick was successful. And so they had a bond, and then when creative takes you somewhere different and you break up the faction and they can eventually both of them went to AEW for a bit and then one passes. It's like, oh shit, like his beginnings were crumbled, and then you're also in a gimmick where the owner, and again, I'm not trying to shit always on Vince, but he was just out of touch. He was just trying to do something grand. Let's put worms on the ring, pal. Let's do a Jack in the Box live, pal. It's all Vince knew was to glorify. But if you look at the human Bray Wyatt, he was confused as fuck. Like he was like, dude, I just fucking feel that you're overcomplicating this shit, and you put a red light on me, and we're doing all this weird stuff, and I don't like it. And then something personal happens to him, and someone passes, and he's like, dude, I hate this shit. I'm done. Like,
and I
just your opinion, man.
Just the sport itself doesn't lend itself well to mental illness. Like he's been honest about mental illness, whether it is depression or anxiety or substance abuse. But a sport like wrestling, when you have to watch your back and you're literally just protecting your position 24/7, and especially in the pressure cooker that is WWE and dealing with creative and everyone else, like it's got to be, and plus the travel, it's got to be absolutely taxing mentally. So he probably just needs breaks now and again, and it's tough for any mentally person that's completely stable, never mind someone who has a bit of whether it's a hereditary issue or their own mental issues. So,
and I'll go out on a limb here and say that I really hope that there will be a legacy of Bray Wyatt someday. And so when his book closes, we'll have done a who is, and then I really want the legacy to be finished. So there will be, we're shockingly, he's been in the company for 12 years, at this point. So
he's got the hardware already to make that happen. I mean, he's
been world champion. He's been world champion, which is my big qualification, and he's been pushed to the main event status. But I think that I really want him to feel finished with this character, and I think that it's coming. I think that's a good thing.
I think it'll be interesting. We'll see what happens. For audio fans, give us a listen on Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, and Google Podcast, or watch our videos on YouTube at Our Wrestling Channel. Can you hook us up on social media? Give us a follow on Instagram or Twitter at O.W.P 2019 or at Facebook at Our Wrestling Podcast. For Dave, Jess, and Craig, this is the O.W.P signing off. Have a
USA.
Bye.
And stop.
Yes, to your wrestling, the death of freedom, a final choice. Doesn't this don't need a like a couch to the ring? This world is wrong to